we can continue with the theme of what has changed. Obviously, we've all experienced the pandemic over the last year. You mentioned post-purchase, Dan and Christina, but there's also the speed to market considerations, consumer expectations that are changing, the consumer experience that is changing. So if you could expand on what you started with and talk about these key changes over the last 12 months, and if you've seen any business results, if you've seen any metrics that you could share with us as well.
Sure. Alexandra, is that directed to me?
Yes, let's start with you, Christina.
Yeah. So certainly the rise of convenience. I think we, as many retailers, ushered in new methods of delivery to our customers. Curbside pickup being a great example. We rolled out curbside pickup so quickly that we were ready to launch it, but our initial signs for the parking lot were buckets of cement from Home Depot with a pole in it that said curbside here. And we actually had the code delivered to the customer before the cement in the bucket was dry. So we had to postpone the launch for a few hours to wait for the cement to dry. So, and that fast forward a couple of months, and curbside pickup was the first choice of our customers for how they chose to get their product over delivery. Interestingly, it was still, kind of still an outing, a way for people to get out of their house. But once that, the necessity of the virus drove that. But once you go online, pick your favorite wine, pull into a parking spot, and 2.5 minutes later, have that in your trunk, that's a level of convenience you're going to have a tough time coming back from. So I expect that the rise of all the investment that we made in post-purchase and the industry made in post-purchase that gave rise to our customers' need for convenience, I expect that to continue forward. In fact, I expect there to be additional pressures there. You can see it with the rise of, DoorDash, Uber, and Instacart all getting into last mile delivery and all moving outside of food delivery into other retail verticals, whether it's Macy's relationship or Sephora's relationship. So I do think that the idea of pickup and delivery over traditional e-commerce shipping will be a major trend over the next few years for us, and a big shift for the industry. It's a new way of doing business.
Yeah, no, I think it's axiomatic, Alexandra, to say that the general trends toward convenience and e-commerce that were in place pre-COVID have been accelerated because of COVID and are likely to continue to accelerate even after we get past the pandemic. It's interesting how it's affected the two businesses that I spoke of earlier. Bear Down Brands is a business that initially was entirely built on Amazon. So deeply steeped in the marketplace and in the digital channels of outreach to consumers and product delivery. And part of its growth, in fact, the majority of its growth and value creation story is about moving into bricks and mortar. Whereas Plano Synergy historically built its business in bricks and mortar, and its growth story is now about driving through e-commerce. So two almost diametrically opposed businesses in terms of how they were built, one traditional and one perhaps a little bit unconventional. But the value of e-commerce in both is abundantly clear, and the impacts of COVID on the growth trends of the e-commerce channels is also striking, moving from perhaps single-digit growth in e-commerce in the case of Bear Down Brands, which has a history there, to double digits, and then double digits in Plano Synergy, accelerating. If I step back though, and look at Plano Synergy, or excuse me, Bear Down Brands in particular, there's a unique aspect of the e-commerce growth story that we've seen come to the forefront, particularly during COVID, and that's the partnership with retailer.coms. It's proven to be a very effective way to crack the code with retailers, to get them to take the products on as a test drive mechanism before they place them in line in the stores. And at the same time, it's obviously been a boon for Bear Down Brands to have a presence on the retailer.coms during this COVID period. Uh, the add to what Christina mentioned and to my remarks here is there are complications that we talk about in the boardroom associated with COVID and the expansion of channels here. Primarily having to do with supply chain and inventory logistics, and trying to stay ahead of the trends and the migration to e-commerce and to all the various and sundry ways that last mile to the consumer is ultimately executed. Really has implications on where you stage inventory, how much of it you order, how you move it around the country, and those things do reach the boardroom on a regular basis. So while it's valuable in the boardroom to have digital and e-commerce experience around the table as we continue the journey with both businesses in e-commerce, it's becoming equally important to have supply chain and operations expertise there as well to navigate some of these new challenges that COVID in particular have wrought.